What's up, everybody? Welcome back once again to Axel's analysis. As always, I am a man too cheap to make up his own name, so I've had to steal an Axel Mulligan. NXT, I really enjoyed it this week. Good solid main event. Good solid show actually. The main event was really good. We had a good interview between Renee Young and Tyson Kidd. And there was what I thought was one of the best Divas tag team matches I've seen in a long time. First match, commentators, I'm not going to talk too much about them. We had Phillips, Saxton and Regal. They were as good as they always were. So you can hear from me about that. First match of the night was Sylvester and LeFort, who had Marcus Louis in his corner versus Colin Cassady, who had Enzo in his corner. Squash match, basically. Cass hit the East River Crossing and then hit what's now being called the Empire Elbow. Easy win for Big Cass. I don't think Sylvester actually got a move in. That was how one-sided it was. You know, I think Sylvester, I've not seen him wrestle properly, but it's difficult to tell how talented the guy's going to be when he's not actually. He's like Mikey Whipwreck, basically. Never had a wrestling move. Never used a wrestling move. It's difficult to tell how good the guy's going to be. You know, I think he's probably just going to be relegated to jobber status for the rest of his career if it carries on the way it is, because that's all he's doing. He's jobbing, which I don't like to see jobbers like. Sylvester LeFort, he's got a good look. But then you look at guys on the main roster like Zack Ryder and where he's been, and he's now a jobber. Obviously, he's main evented Raw before, he's been on pay-per-views. He actually got his own chant while The Rock was on the mic in New York. That was how over Zack Ryder was at one point, and now look at where he is. But opposite end of the spectrum, obviously, with Sylvester LeFort, where Sylvester's never, as I say, he's never had a wrestling move. I've never seen him like punch somebody or kick somebody or anything. Do you know what I mean? It's shame because as I say, he's got good luck. He just doesn't get a lot of wrestling moves in. Enzo did all his usual stick before the match, which was good to hear because the fans get behind it, kind of like they did with the New Age Outlaws in the Attitude Era. Talking about him being a bona fide G and a certified G and a bona fide stud. And you can't teach that, and the fans just say along with him. You know, it's second nature to him when Enzo comes out to do it. As I say, it's the same as with the Outlaws in like 98, 99. It's good because if he can carry that popularity over when he gets to the main roster, he's going to have a good career. And obviously, what I liked about it was when they were about to do the soft, like spelling it out, they sort of hovering over the mics to like spell it out, and then they look round at the crowd who are sort of popping for it, and the crowd are pleading with them to spell it out, and it was really good because they cast him around and goes, "Do we have to spell it out for you?" I liked it. I thought it was really good, and they obviously spelled it out for him. We got the soft, and I'm going to stop doing my god awful New Jersey accent now. Segment 2 was Devin Taylor versus Devin Taylor's interview with Adrian Neville. I said on Twitter, Devin Taylor, wow, and that's not the interview. Anybody who knows me as a wrestling fan will know that I am a big fan of Devin Taylor, and not just her interview. She's good on the interviews, don't get me wrong, but damn, yeah. She asks Adrian his thoughts on his match with RVD from last week. Neville said it was a privilege to have wrestled RVD and obviously defeated him as well. So he said, you know, it's a big win for him. Tyler Breeze comes up and he says, you know, we're still talking about this. He says it as though it's like old news. Obviously, it's only a week old. But he says, you know, God, are you still going on about this? Breeze did say he was impressed, but more so to do with the fact that, you know, he was only sort of 20 feet away from him and he was managing to keep his concentration on RVD as opposed to on him when he can cash in his championship match at any time. But Breeze says to Neville, you know, it must be killing you not knowing when I'm going to cash in my championship match or championship opportunity rather. And Neville says, well, if you want to go now, we'll go now. We'll do it tonight. I'll put the title on the line. And Breeze says, I can't. I suffered a very serious career-threatening injury. A broken finger. I thought it was good. You know, he pulls his character off well, as I've said before, Tyler Breeze, and he's sort of a bit of a prima donna, a bit of a wimp. And Yeah, I've got a career-threatening injury. Oh, he's broken a finger. Oh, poor Tyler Breeze. I like Tyler. I'm just playing. I like Tyler. As I say, pulls his character off well. But a broken finger. I mean, Cesaro wrestled with a broken finger. That's all I'm saying about that. Cesaro's a fucking beast, though. Segment 3, Charlotte and Sasha Banks versus Bayley and Becky Lynch. Becky was actually a lot more impressive this week. It was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. Becky was a lot more impressive, and Sasha, in my opinion, she's the best wrestler, women's wrestler on NXT. You know, point me in a direction of somebody who's better. I just think, you know, she gets better and better every time you see her. I wouldn't say she's flawless, but she's got a lot less flaws than the rest of the roster. And so I enjoyed the match. Sasha and Charlotte won. Charlotte hit the bow down to the Queen to Becky. Pinned her to get 1, 2, 3. Sasha was trash talking Bayley after the match. So I didn't really see the point in it because it didn't really lead on to anything. You know, we're not going to see a match between Sasha and Bayley. I mean, it's done in now. We've seen that enough times in the past 6 months or so. But Bayley basically threw her out of the ring, and I suppose in a way it showed a bit of aggression from Bayley, which you don't normally see, which was good. But later on in the show, the BFFs actually split. Charlotte said that she didn't need Sasha anymore. You know, she is the NXT Women's Champion. She doesn't need her anymore as a partner. She said they could still be friends and hang out in the hallway, but she doesn't need her as a partner anymore. So Sasha basically told her to shove it. And she mentioned as well that next week there's a match between Amore and Bayley to determine the number 1 contender to Charlotte's title. And it's obvious that Sasha's going to get involved somehow. Maybe to sort of assist Summer, because she did say to Charlotte that her and Summer got on really well before Charlotte came along. For those who don't remember, the BFFs were originally Summer Rae and Sasha Banks, and then Charlotte betrayed Bayley, turning heel to join the BFFs. And that's my memory bank done for the day. Segment 4, another Devin Taylor interview, this time with Justin Gabriel. Devin asks Justin his thoughts ahead of his match with Sami Zayn. They got a main event match later on. Justin said that Zayn reminds him a lot of a younger version of himself. And as he says that, Tyson Kidd walks in. He goes, "Yeah, you're both losers," alluding to the fact that they both lose more than they win. And as much as Sami Zayn is the most popular guy on the NXT roster, and probably the best wrestler on the NXT roster in all honesty, he does lose more than he wins. Tyson says both him and Justin have both been on Raw, they've been on SmackDown pay-per-views. You know, they were on the forefront of the shows. Obviously, like Justin was a member of the Core and obviously the Nexus. Tyson Kidd had his WrestleMania moment where him and D.H. Smith hit a doomsday device to Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. But now he says that they're basically afterthoughts. They don't get the call to be on the shows anymore. They're on NXT like hardly ever. Well, Tyson more so now than he was 3 or 4 months ago. But Justin says he proved Tyson wrong against Sami Zayn tonight. And Tyson's actually going to be in Justin's corner as well. Segment 4, CJ Parker versus Steve Cutler. They promoted him as a former Marine who's now making his debut in NXT. But whether he's just like a local jobber, inverted commas, or he's actually on the roster, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see where they go with that. It was all about CJ Parker. It's a squash match. He won with a heel kick. He's got new entrance music though, CJ. He hasn't got that crappy, generic hippie music anymore, as I would call it. It's a song called On the Streets by the LA Drugs. It's a really good, you know, not necessarily the lyrics fit his character. I've listened to the song on YouTube. I watched the show last night when I got home from work. And I've listened to the song about 10, 12 times on YouTube already today, and I love it. And I'm going to try and see if I can find it on iTunes as well, obviously, because it is a really good song. CJ won a quick match with a heel kick. After the match, he kicked Cutler from the ring. He got on the stick, and he sort of, I should mention before the match, he got a sign from, I'm guessing it was a plant in the crowd. And this sign had it was like a rectangular shape, and it had Woods written across it with a big cross going through Woods. And it didn't sort of twig at the time, but So I'm thinking, Woods, why is he sort of like putting a big cross through Woods? I'm thinking like a forested area, you know. Thought he's supposed to be trying to save the world, not kill it, kind of thing. But obviously he's talking about Xavier Woods. As I said, the penny didn't drop at the time. He's talking about Xavier Woods. He said that he's a semester away from earning his doctorate degree, but questions what he's done since leaving NXT. He says he became a Funkadactyl, he's dressed like Uncle Sam, and he's danced down the aisle and pandered to the fans. And CJ basically says that if he was given Xavier's opportunities, he'd be doing a lot more with him, like winning titles and helping to change the world, as opposed to dressing like Uncle Sam and dancing with Cameron and Naomi and R-Truth. As I said before, I absolutely love what they're doing with CJ Parker's character. You know, he's building himself a little feud now with this little promo. I must say as well, his mic skills were a hell of a lot better than what they were before he became this silent bloke walking around the crowds with signs like preaching how to save the world. I thought he was. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. He's, as I said, he's technically sound in the ring. He's good in the ring. I'm glad he's not using the third eye anymore as a finisher, because that's not going to knock somebody out. That's just me slapping my other, like one hand slapping the other. That's not going to knock somebody out, is it? Let's be fair. Anyway, CJ's got a new finisher. I'm not keen on the heel kicks of finisher, but it's better than the third eye, which, as I said, is just shit. Honestly, it was shit. So yeah, it looks like he's trying to build himself a little feud with Xavier Woods. I like Xavier. I like CJ. Maybe we'll see that in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks, or I don't think they can save it really until the next live show, because that's going to be a couple of months away at least. So we'll see what they do with it. We'll see where they go. Up next is the interview between Renee Young and Tyson Kidd. And I actually enjoyed it, you know. I was going to mention it now. A lot of people have been calling me sexist because I don't like Renee Young's commentary. That doesn't make me sexist because I don't like Renee Young's commentary. I don't like JBL's commentary. I don't like Michael Cole's commentary. I don't like Jerry Lawler's commentary. Just because I don't like a woman's commentary doesn't make me sexist. Look at the facts. I don't like 3 male commentators. I don't like 1 female commentator. It's nothing to do with the people. It's to do with how I believe they're not very good at their jobs. That doesn't make me sexist. That's just my opinion. I don't like them as commentators. People do. I know James Powers, he likes Renee on commentary. He doesn't like Michael Cole. That's his opinion. This is my opinion. I don't like Renee on commentary. That doesn't make me a sexist. She's brilliant at her interviews. I said that before. I like her interviews. I don't like her commentary. Anyway, moving on. That's my little rant for the week. And Renee, she asked all the right questions. She asked about his match at TakeOver, like all his opinions on that. You know, when he had his rematch with with Adrian Neville for the NXT title, the fact that the fans were chanting Natty's husband at him, you know, does that bother him? Which he said no. He played heel, but he gave logical answers, kind of like what Triple H did when he first turned heel, when he started doing the sit-down interviews with Michael Cole. Because with that, Tyson just turned around and said, no, they're just saying that I'm Natty's husband. That's the truth. I like to give facts. Obviously, the NXT universe likes to give facts. I liked it. I thought he played it out really well. She asked him about the tag team title match, why he didn't want to, why he walked out on Sami Zayn, and he just basically said, well, my head and my heart weren't in it because it wasn't a match that I earned. My wife got that match for me. Again, another good heel answer to not sort of come across as a heel, but to give a reason. And it is a good reason if you're looking at it from a wrestling perspective, because he didn't earn that match. He was given that match because his wife got involved. If he wasn't interested in it, so be it. Obviously, that's not the reason that he walked out. It's just because, you know, he's like, well, fuck this shit. I don't want anything to do with it. As I say, he gave good answers to the questions that he was being asked. And when Renee asked if he and Natty had any problems with their marriage, he just sort of looked at her as if to say, that's none of your fucking business, and just walked off. And to me, this could be like not make or break for Tyson, but it could do wonders for him because he didn't really stumble or stutter on his words or anything like that. Obviously, he would have rehearsed it and everything, but he delivered well, I thought. And Renee, when he walked off, she was just like, "What's that all about?" I thought they both did a good job. As I said, I'm not eating humble pie because, as I've always said, I've always liked her interviews, but fair play, Renee Young, you did a good job there. Main event match, Justin Gabriel, who, as I said, had Tyson in his corner versus Sami Zayn. Really good match between two very, very good wrestlers. Well, they're fantastic wrestlers in my opinion. Gabriel showed that he's got a very good technical side to himself. I mean, I've seen it before, but it doesn't get highlighted as much as his aerial attacks. So it's good to see him use his technical side, a lot of groundwork, a lot of like submission moves. Fair play to Justin Gabriel. He did a really good job here. Sami was as good as he ever was. He won with the Koji clutch. Sami did. I don't know the name of the move that he used to take him down, and it was a good move, but I just can't find the name of it. So if anybody knows, just let me know. Just send me a tweet at Axel and I'll put a comment below or whatever. But no, it's nice to see Justin have this kind of match. It was a good solid 15, 18-minute match. Justin's had a lot of struggles since the breakup of the core. Obviously, he was part of the Nexus. And then when the core broke up, he had the 2011 Money in the Bank ladder match, which was the one that Daniel Bryan won. He hasn't really done a lot since, unfortunately. And, he's a 3-time tag team champion. Him and Heath Slater actually hold the record, or the joint record holders with Eminem for the most WWE tag team title runs. So there's a wrestling fact for you. But that's since the 2002 inception of the WWE Tag Team titles, not what it was like the World Tag Team titles before, and that's the WWE Tag Team titles, the name that it uses now. Post match, Tyson came into the ring. Sami he was sort of helping Justin back to his feet. Sami looked on, and as he turned around, Tyson took him out from behind and started kicking the shit out of him. And he tried encouraging Justin to join in, and he was a bit reluctant to, but he did it eventually anyway. He sort of turned around, and then in like heel turn fashion, he started kicking the crap out of Sami, and it carried on until Neville came down and he stopped the assault. As he sort of came into the ring, Tyson and Justin bailed and went out the ramp, but looked as though International Airstrike could get them back together. That was the unofficial name of the team. But no, I liked them as a team when they were together before, so it's only good to see them getting back together because there was no reason to not put them back together when Tyson came back from his injury. So, we'll see where they go with it. Hopefully, I'd like to see him win the NXT Tag Team Championship. Maybe take them off the Ascension in the next month or two. And then get onto the main roster again and actually start making some waves as a heel tag team. There's obviously been some talk about Tyson being repackaged as a masked wrestler. I don't see the point, really, because he's been there for far too long. A bit like with Primo and Epico. I didn't see the point in repackaging them. But I don't see the point in repackaging Tyson now. He's had a WrestleMania moment. He's been a tag team champion. He's been involved in some big matches, like Money in the Bank ladder match he was involved in 2012. There's no point in changing his gimmick now, for me. I know they did it, like they've done it with Viscera when, rest in peace, Nelson Fraser Jr. Did it with Viscera, but Big Daddy V worked. I just don't see the point in changing Tyson because as much as he's a good aerial wrestler, they're not going to bill a masked wrestler from Canada. This is the WWE. They're not going to bill a masked wrestler from Canada. They're going to bill him from Mexico. Everybody's going to know who he is. Everybody's going to know his background. Everybody's going to know he's a former tag team champion. No, not going to work. Keep him as Tyson Kidd. Repackage his current character. Bring him up to the main roster again as a heel with Justin Gabriel. Heel tag team and they could flourish. They really could change that tag team roster up there. You know, you've got some good teams up there at the moment. You've got the Usos, you've got the Wyatts. Obviously, unfortunately, the Shield aren't together anymore, but get these guys out there and they'll do the job. They will do a brilliant job, I think. You know, Justin's a tag team specialist if you're looking at his WWE run. Tyson spent a lot of his WWE run as part of a tag team that, you know, what were they called? Not the Heart Foundation. I can't remember what they were called now. It'll come back to me in a minute. But the Hart Dynasty, that was it. They've got good tag team pedigree with different teams, so get them back out there as a tag team. I don't see the point in doing anything else with them other than that at the moment. Anyway, overall rating of the show, I've given it a 7 out of 10. Better show than last week, I thought. You know, you had really, really good main event. I thought last week's main event was better, but the undercard wasn't so good as in comparison to this week. Fantastic Divas match. I really enjoyed that. Becky Lynch, as I say, she was a lot more impressive this week. And I'd not seen her wrestle until last week, as I said. But this week, hopefully this is what she's all about. You know, she was a lot more smooth in the ring. I think it was from different tapings, so obviously she's had that month or whatever it is in between her having the last match that she had last week and the match that she had this week. So fair play to Becky Lynch. She had a good match, or she had a good showing this week. And I'd say Sasha Banks was impressive. Bayley showed a bit more aggression, and Charlotte's showing what a bitch she is. Well, or what a flair she is. Flair, bitch, same thing. And the interview with Tyson Kidd, as I said, fair play to Tyson and Renee Young. I really enjoyed that. So, you know, big respect to both of them. The news for this week, going to start with a bit of bad news. It looks as though the in-ring career of Corey Graves is over. I've been saying for a little while, you know, you need to get him back, you know, back on TV. I didn't realise, and I don't think anybody did, that he had a second concussion. And it's his second one this year, so it looks as though his in-ring career is going to be over, unfortunately. But the good news is that WWE are looking to get him some sort of backstage job, maybe as a producer or a trainer or something like that, maybe. So it's good that they're not throwing him out into the wild like what TNA did with Jesse Sorensen. You know, he was told he had a job for life, and a year later, out the door, son. But no, I'm glad that they're actually doing something great. Maybe make him like a referee. I can't remember who I was talking to about it on Twitter. I think it was Tim Vicious. Maybe use him as like a dangerous Danny Davis type of referee, where in the 80s Danny Davis would favour the heels. Maybe sort of Corey come back as a referee, and him screw over the people that pissed him off while he was a wrestler, like Adrian Neville, for example. Maybe he could screw him out of the title. But, you know, we'll see what they do with Corey. I'm glad that they're looking for something for him, because, you know, obviously it's not his fault he's had these concussions, and it looks as though his wrestling career is going to be over. So it's good that WWE not necessarily taking responsibility for it, but actually sort of showing a bit of compassion. So fair play to him. You know, whoever's made that decision, whether it's Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, whoever, fair play, because, you know, you could just easily throw him out the door, and you haven't done that. So, you know, big respect there for that. Kevin Steen's confirmed that he's leaving Ring of Honor. He's got 3 more matches. He's got one, I believe, on the 12th of July against Tommaso Ciampa. One on the 18th of July against Silas Young. And one on the 19th, Steve Corino is coming out of retirement. So, unfortunately, I think these are all going to be at house shows. So we won't get to see him on TV. But, you know, fair play to Kevin Steen. He's had a hell of a run in Ring of Honor. You know, he had a really good Ring of Honor championship run, World Championship run. He's one of the ones that could easily get himself over as a heel or a face in Ring of Honor. He's worked brilliantly over the last few years. So, you know, but it's good to see that it looks like he's come into the WWE. You know, he's at that right time in his career now where he needs to move on. He's not necessarily getting stale in Ring of Honor by any means, but he's making a big move, and it's a good move for him, I think. So, you know, we'll see what WWE do with him. Obviously, you know, it's not confirmed that he's signing yet, but it's very, very likely that he will sign. The last bit of news was the Ascension worked a tag team dark match before SmackDown against Stardust and Goldust, Gold Stars, I like to call them. They lost, but generally when people are making dark match appearances on the shows, or before the shows rather, sometimes it means that they're sort of due to be called up soon. Not always, because I think like Sami Zayn's been working, like not recently, but he has worked dark matches before, SmackDowns before. Who else has? Bo Dallas did for a little while, like quite a while before he got the call up. So, hopefully we do see the Ascension on the main roster. They've got good chemistry as a tag team together. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think they need to drop the titles first, get promoted the right way onto the main roster, and not have JBL sort of going, "Who are these guys, Maggle?" Well, these are the Ascension, John. You should know. You're their general manager. Well, I don't like their entrance, Maggle. I don't like JBL. That's my awful JBL impression, by the way. Guy pisses me off. He's supposed to be the general manager for NXT. When a guy gets called up, aside from Bo Dallas, he has no fucking clue who they are. Makes me want to put a gun to my head, to be honest. Anyway, enough of the JBL rant. Birthdays for the week. June the 30th, Terry Funk turns 70, Scott Dawson 30, Alicia Fox 28, and there's one here from a guy who never worked for the WWE or the WWF as it would have been when he passed away, Ed Strangler Lewis. Ed Strangler Lewis was a 4-time Catch as Catch Can World Heavyweight Champion, the same championship held by guys like George Hackenschmidt, Frank Gotch, all these guys from back in the day. Ed Strangler Lewis, he was born in 1891, and he was a 4-time Catch as Catch Can champion, and he also won 2 other world championships as well. I think I'm right in saying he was one of 2 people to win shoot wrestling world championship and like a scripted, if you will, world wrestling championship. The other one, I believe, being Lou Thez. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Quite confident in my wrestling knowledge on that. But no, Ed Strangler Lewis, obviously not going to be live. He died in 1966, but he would have been 123 years old. So if he'd have made it to 123, fair play to you, Ed Lewis. July the 1st, which is also my dad's birthday, July the 1st, Charles Robinson turned 50. July the 2nd, Bret Hart 57, and Scotty 2 Hotty turned 41. July the 4th, Independence Day. So happy Independence Day to all the American people that I talked to on Twitter. I did put that out there yesterday, but I'm going to put it out there again today as well. July the 4th, Barry Windham turned 54. July the 5th, Jerry Saggs 50, Hillbilly Jim 62, and a guy who's not worked for the WWE yet, but I believe will do. He's my favourite wrestler in the world at the moment, Adam Cole. He turned 25. I actually met him last year. Really nice guy, really down to earth. And it's an absolute pleasure to watch him wrestle. Really, if he's not in the WWE by the time he's 30, they fucked something up somewhere along the line. This week in WWE history, got about half a dozen here to go through. June the 30th in 2003, Gail Kim won the WWE Women's title in her debut WWE match. It was a battle royal. I can't remember how many divas were in it now, but I remember it being her first match. It was before I started watching Raw, because it was on far too late for me at the time so I was sort of studying and just didn't have enough hours in the day to stay up to watch it or anything like that. I remember reading on WWE.com, Gail Kim wins WWE Women's Championship. I'm thinking, who the fucking hell was Gail Kim? Obviously, she's gone on to fairly big things. She's former WWE Women's Championship holder, and she's, I believe, the current TNA Knockouts champion. Not sure. I don't watch TNA shit. The following day at SmackDown taping, so July the 1st, Stephanie McMahon and Zach Gowen defeated the Big Show to earn Zach a WWE contract. For those who do or don't remember, Zach was a one-legged wrestler. He had cancer in his leg as a child. He had to have his leg amputated. But his dream was always to become a WWE wrestler. And he got brought in on screen. I'm not sure how he got signed up. Something to do with John Laurinaitis fucking up as usual. But he got brought in on screen by Mr. America, who was played by Hulk Hogan. I can't remember why Hulk played Mr. America, like something to do with Marvel and the Hulk character, some shit like that. But Zach's dream was to be a WWE wrestler, and he got brought in as a fan to be in the corner of Mr. America for his match with Roddy Piper at Judgment Day 2003, I believe. So he's sort of hanging around with Hulk, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, and Vince didn't like it because he basically just didn't want a cripple working for his company. Angle and Brock, I can't remember if it was one or the other or both. I can't remember if Angle hit an angle slam to Big Show, Brock hit an F5, or if they both hit their finishers, and then Zach hit a one-legged moonsault to pin Big Show. I don't remember what way round it was, but whatever it was, I remember Zach hitting the moonsault. So yeah, Zach won a WWE contract. He didn't last long in the company, unfortunately for him. You know, he had a few problems with drugs and stuff. I don't know if that was while he was working for the company or if it was afterward. But yeah, one pay-per-view match against Vince McMahon. That was at Vengeance. And then I know he was due to have one against Matt Hardy, but I don't know if he did or didn't in the end. Something tells me they had one at No Mercy in 2003, but I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. I got it on DVD, so I'll have to have a look at some stage. June the 2nd, 2001 was the only time the WCW Championship was defended between two WCW guys on Raw. That was Booker T retaining against Buff Bagwell. And they actually had WCW commentators. This is before the whole invasion angle kicked off. They had two WCW commentators. One was Arn Anderson. I can't remember who the other one was. And they actually had Stacy Keibler doing the ring announcing. But Booker retained the title. July the 3rd. This is another Booker T, or King Booker. He won a 15-man battle royal to become the number one contender to Rey Mysterio's World Heavyweight title. And at the time, I fucking hated the King Booker gimmick. But looking back now, it's actually really good because him and Sharmell were so good at getting heat. You know, they would stand there and call Teddy Long a racist. A black person could be racist to another black person, I'll never know. But it was brilliantly played out. You know, the All Hail King Booker, when they were, I think they had a best of 7 series, him and Chris Benoit did for the US title. And Booker went 3-0 up in the series. And Sharmell kept bringing out a sweeping brush to the ring before they had their next match. There was like a couple of weeks in between each match. Sharmell would bring a sweeping brush out each week. And it was brilliant. They played the gimmick so well. It was an awful gimmick, but it was played so well. Kind of like what Damien Sandow's doing now. He's been dealt shit, and he's turning chicken shit into chicken salad, basically. And that's what Booker did. And Booker ended up winning the World Heavyweight Championship from Rey Mysterio in 2006. July the 4th. I don't know if this was a taping or if it was like a live show, but the Big Show defeated RVD to win the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Again, 2006. So it was known as the Philly Screwjob at the time. And what happened was Big Show, he was on the receiving end of a frog splash. The referee was down, and Paul Heyman came out similar to how he did at One Night Stand when RVD won the title from John Cena. Cena took out one referee, and Edge took out the second referee, and Heyman came down and counted the 3 for Van Dam to win the WWE and ECW World titles. But this time, when Van Dam had the pin on Big Show, Heyman counted to 2, and then he refused to count to 3. And Rob's like, what are you doing, Paul? What are you doing? Big Show got up. I can't remember if he knocked him out, chokeslammed him, or whatever now, but he pinned him, and Heyman counted to 3 and celebrated with Big Show after the match. And the title change happened because of Rob's. It wasn't a drug violation. I think he got busted with Sabu, and he got suspended for 30 days for it. And we never really saw Rob. He had a couple of other ECW championship matches. I think he had a couple against Bobby Lashley. It was either later that year or the following year, like just before he left. But no, it's a shame that Rob had to lose his title. But he was a WWE champion as well. He lost the WWE title the night before on Raw. So this is just a shame, really, that a careless mistake cost him the biggest run of his career. June 6th, this goes back to 97, I believe. I didn't write the year down, but I believe it was 97. In Your House 16 Canadian Stampede. The Hart Foundation, in the main event, the Hart Foundation consisted of Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, Davey Boy Smith, obviously the British Bulldog, and Brian Pillman. And they defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, Road Warriors, Animal, and Hawk. That was the main event, as I say. And the cool thing about this is I've got the Heart and Soul DVD about the Hart family. You actually see a young Tyson Kidd and Natalia in the ring to celebrate with the Harts, which was quite cool, really, as I say. It was in Canada. Can't remember what city it was in now. It'll come back to me in a minute, but it was in Calgary. That's twice I've done that now. But yeah, it's cool looking back now to see that Tyson and Natalia have had a bit of history in the WWE before making it to the WWE, like a post-match celebration. So, now, as I said, it's a little bit of a cool little feature there. Shoutouts as always. Got Tim Vicious and Tim_Vicious on Twitter. All these are Twitter handles. And don't forget to look out for his YouTube show, Vicious Rants. I think he posts it on a Tuesday evening. Well, that's when he sends me the link for it anyway. Sunday Segway, at Sunday Segway. Look out for their podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio. I meant to ask Kinney where they post the shows to, but I just haven't had time to do it this week. So if you're listening, Kinney, let me know, man, and I'll make sure that's on there for next week. James Powers 33, make sure you check out his podcast, James's Wrestling Ramble, on YouTube, Podomatic, and Mixcloud. Pro Wrestling Smart Talk, that's PW Smart Talk. Wrestling Rambles, make sure you check out WrestlingRambles.com for some really good blogs. And at Tony Walker, and his podcast is the Wrestling Matters podcast. You can find that at WM Podcast. Tony does a lot of previews and reviews and stuff for shows, so make sure you look out for that as well. He does that on YouTube and Podomatic. Not sure if he does it anywhere else, but again, Tony, if you're listening, let me know and I'll make sure I'll get that on there for next week. Make sure you look out for my accounts as well, at Axel Mulligan and at Axel's Analysis. I'll put a link to the Facebook page in the bottom as well, like I did last week. Need some more likes on Facebook, people. I've got 25. I need more. I've had it going. I've just changed the name of the blog page that I did, and I've had 1 like since. So anybody who wants to like my Facebook page, please. That's me begging. That's the end of the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening to all my previous shows. If you want to go back to listen to them, obviously you can find them on my YouTube channel or on my Podomatic channel. I've started using Mixcloud as well now. Don't get many hits on there. Probably get about half a dozen a week if that. But so thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll see you again soon.